Hi everyone, I'm so happy you're here today. We're going to talk about something incredibly useful, the 500 most essential words in English. Why are these words so important? Well, they're the ones you use every single day. You don't need thousands of words to communicate effectively. Just these 500 will help you express yourself in most situations, whether you're introducing yourself, asking for directions, or just having a chat with friends. So let's dive in and explore these words together. What are the 500 most essential words? Before we get into the details, let's talk about what these 500 words are. They're divided into categories based on their role in a sentence. Here's the list: pronouns, verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, articles, conjunctions, question words, modal verbs. Each group has its own job to do in a sentence, and we'll go through them one by one. Don't worry, I'll explain everything step by step. Now let's talk about pronouns. First up, pronouns. These are words like I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. We use pronouns to replace nouns, so we don't have to repeat the same words over and over. For example, instead of saying Sarah is happy because Sarah passed the test, we say Sarah is happy because she passed the test. It sounds much better, right? Pronouns also include words like this and that. For example, this is my book. These little words make a big difference. Let's talk about verbs. Now let's move on to verbs. Verbs are action words, or they show a state of being. For example, action verbs are things like run, eat, and write. So you could say, I run every morning. State of being verbs are things like am, is, and are. For example, she is happy. Verbs are the heart of a sentence. They tell us what's happening. If you master verbs like be, have, and go, you'll be off to a great start. Let's talk about nouns. Next, we have nouns. Nouns are names for people, places, things, or even ideas. For example, people. My teacher is kind. Places. We went to the park. Things. The dog is on the table. Ideas. Happiness is important. You'll often use nouns with articles like a, an, or the. For example, I saw a dog. Any dog. I saw the dog. A specific dog. Simple, right? Let's talk about adjectives. Adjectives are the words we use to describe nouns. They help you give more detail. For example, it's a big house. She has a beautiful smile. Adjectives always come before the noun they describe. They're like little tools that make your sentences more interesting. Let's talk about adverbs. Adverbs are like adjectives, but instead of describing nouns, they describe verbs. For example, she sings beautifully. How does she sing beautifully? He is very tall. How tall? Very tall. Adverbs often answer questions like how, when, or where. They're great for adding detail to your sentences. Let's talk about question word. Question words are super useful because they help you ask for information. For example, who are you? To ask about a person. Where is the park? To ask about a place. What is your name? To ask about a thing. Learning these will make it easier to start conversations and get the answers you need. Let's talk about modal verbs. Finally, let's talk about modal verbs. These are words like can, should, and must that help us talk about possibilities, abilities, and permissions. For example, I can swim. Ability. You should try this. Advice. May I sit here? Permission. These words might seem small, but they're super powerful. Why are these 500 words enough? You might be thinking, only 500 words? Is that really enough? Absolutely. These are the words people use the most in everyday conversations. With these words, you can introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Tom. Ask for help. Can you help me? Talk about your day. I went to the park with my friend. See, you don't need to know every word in the dictionary to communicate effectively. How can you practice these words? Here are some tips for practicing these 500 words. 1. Start small. Focus on the most common ones first, like I, you, go, come, this and that. 2. Combine words. Make simple sentences using words from different categories. For example, I go to the park. 3. Listen and repeat. Watch English videos or listen to conversations, then repeat what you hear. 4. Ask questions. Use question words like, "What's your favorite food?" to start conversations. 5. Practice every day. Whether you're speaking or writing, try to use these words as much as possible. And that's it. The 500 most essential words in English. These aren't just random words. They're the ones you'll actually use every day. If you practice these words regularly, you'll build a strong foundation for communicating in English. Remember, it's not about knowing every word. It's about mastering the important ones. Thank you for joining me today. Keep practicing, and I know you'll do great.